Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again, introducing you to my Mass Effect 3 Insanity difficulty video walkthrough. We're going to be embarking onto Thessia, the home world of the Asari, but before we do that, I'm going to be coming to the Citadel, as you can see. I'm going to be coming to the Spectre requisitions, and I'm going to be buying the Black Widow. So, I'm examining a couple of things here because this is the first time I've seen something different on this terminal, because as I mentioned, I did not do any quests or anything on this walkthrough, so a lot of this stuff is new, and in my experience that I have with the game right now, I now realise that a lot of information and intel comes through this server to help you do some of the quests on the Citadel. And I've just done a lovely quick transition there from me buying the weapon to actually landing on Thessia where shit kicks off. And the first thing I do, as with pretty much every planet I land on, I make sure everybody has an ammo type selected so that the gun gets that extra bit of damage, and I just push forward and start kicking some ass. So you're going to be taking on Reapers on this planet, so it's going to be the Husks, it's going to be the Cannibals, the Marauders, the Ravagers, and you're also going to take on some Banshees. And I think that this is the first time you'll see the Banshee, unless you've obviously done the side quests. But don't quote me on that, because you see them on Horizon, you see them on a few other places, and they're not very fun to fight. They're very, very strong, and they have a one-hit kill grab just like the Phantoms do, just like the Atlas does actually, just like pretty much most of the big ones do. And it's kind of funny, because my third playthrough where I was having fun, I played on casual, because, you know, what's the point in playing the game twice on Insanity and then not dropping the difficulty down? And the Banshees still kill you when they grab you. Which, if you ask me, that is not very fucking casual. That's anti-casual, so I don't know what BioWare was thinking when they made it universal damage, because that is bullshit, that when you get grabbed on the easiest setting and you still die. It's a little bit bullshit. But there's a pretty challenging fight on this mission that involves a bunch of the Harvesters. The only reason it's difficult is when you trigger the spawn, you will get attacked almost immediately by them as they land, and they can kill you in 2 shots, which is a little bit cheap, especially when they spam. But it's one of those things where, depending on what class you are, depending on how your abilities benefit you in battle, will depend on how you approach it. But I've just actually got the good ending of the game the other night, and it didn't really change as much as I thought it would, so I'm maybe perhaps beginning to see why people have got a lot of complaints with the ending, because me personally, I just thought it was too brief. That was my thing. It was a brevity issue that I had. It wasn't necessarily what happens, because this is a very self-indulgent series, and for it to have such a, you know, there's the end, thanks for playing, is is a little bit contradictory to what you would think. But it's a strange game. This is a really strange game. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a game that you have to skip the credits twice for them to actually skip, which is really fucking weird. Because you'll notice when you press B to skip, it doesn't work. You have to do it again. And it even asks you both times, do you want to skip the credits? You press yes, and they're still going. It's like, what? Did you not get what I just said? Super weird. But Marauders, Cannibals with shields, all that good stuff. I've got Liara with me so she can singularity them and make them easy targets. I've got James with me because the dude's a tank and he just takes it for days. But I'm going to talk about a couple of experiences that I had on that most recent playthrough, so I suppose you could call this a bit of a spoiler. I'm not going to be telling any truths or any twists or anything, just the little experiences that I encountered, that I enjoyed. So, because I started a new game, pretty much everybody on Mass Effect 2 doesn't exist on my game, so I couldn't get close to any of those characters, which was a big shame, because they're some of my favourites. But it did enable me to get really close to Garrus and Liara, which was nice. And, like, there aren't per se loyalty missions, but there are almost relaxation missions that you'll get if you pay attention to your squad mates. And they occur on the Citadel, and they're not very long. They're generally just a cutscene that you can interact with ever so slightly, but they're definitely pretty good. Like, the one with Garrus, he takes you to the roof of C-Sec and you get to shoot some stuff, and you have a nice little shooting competition, and it's a bit of a pissing contest. It's pretty cool. And it shows you a little bit more character to the people. Yeah, you can do one with Ashley, but the Ashley one's a bit boring, and you can do one with Liara, but the Liara one's a bit misleading as well. But the more that you talk to the team, obviously the more it'll benefit you, and the more the information you'll get towards the end. Because when you land on planet Earth, that's when a lot of some really interesting moments occur. Like, there's some touching moments between Garrus and Shepard, which I did like. Sometimes it can come off a little bit cheesy, but I think they worked it pretty well. And then, because Liara was my love interest, almost inadvertently, I was trying to bang that IGN chick and Miranda and everybody on this playthrough, but apparently Liara won that contest, and she said she was going to give me a gift on Earth, so I'm thinking, oh, she's going to give me a super piece of armor, or, you know, like a really cool gun, or, I don't know, maybe I'll get some Azari dreadlocks and it'll improve my biotic powers. I didn't really know where it was going. And instead, she kind of like mind melds you, and it looks like a sex scene from Demolition Man, so I wasn't too understanding of that gift. But there is a lot of good things to find in this game if you take the time to do so. I just think that the way that they've set them up kind of detracts away from the form and the structure of the old games, and for a lot of the purists I think it's going to piss them off. For a lot of new people you're probably not going to notice, but it can make something that should be natural seem extremely mechanical, and it's a bit of a shame. Because there's things like you'll talk to a race on a planet, and I had this with the Elcor, and it was the Elcor ambassador basically asking me to find something for him, and he's like, oh, go to this planet and find me this awesome thing and then bring it back. And I'm like, okay, that sounds pretty good. And I didn't realise that I'd already got what he wanted, because the game just did not tell me at all. Because the quest log, well, I say quest log, there is no fucking quest log. The game monitors what you have to give to people almost non-existently. It's ridiculous. And I didn't know I already had the item. That Shepard didn't respond as if to say like, oh yeah, I've already got that, dude. No problem. He didn't do a thing, so I then went out of the Citadel through all the stupid loading screens, flew around the galaxy looking for a place to scan, even though I'd scanned everything, only to come back and realise I already had the thing that he asked for when I originally talked to him. And it just makes it feel really fucking just... There doesn't seem to be a lot of, you know, knowledge and detail put into some of these side quests coming from a company that have done it better before. It's crazy. And it's like the way I was playing in the Citadel, because you come back to the Citadel, for those that don't know, pretty much exclusively to do all the side quests. It is the only real city you're going to walk to in the game, which is criminal. It is the only place where you will talk to real NPCs and do miscellaneous tasks for them that involve going to places and doing stuff. And when I say going to places, it means doing the new mining mechanic, which is a streamlined version of the one from 2, which I don't like at all. And it's just crazy. But I did pick up a little tip for people that want to do everything, and it might make your life a bit easier. But when you go on one of the floors of the Citadel, be it, you know, the Presidium Commons, be it Purgatory or Huerta, you know, Memorial, if you push in one of the analogs, it'll bring up a map of the area, and each area is designated with a number, and underneath the number, if you can see somebody's name in light blue, it means there's somebody you can interact with, be it just an NPC to talk to, somebody to give an item for, somebody to get a quest from, and it'll just make navigating the Citadel a little bit quicker than it needs to be, because some of the stuff you do in the Citadel for people is so contrived, it's unbelievable. It's like, you have talked to me, now walk around going up to these med stations and hacking these, you know, coordinates, which is just literally run around the Citadel for 20 minutes and come back to me so that I can tell you some bit of exposition. It's so fucking lazy. And this is a Banshee, and yeah, she's a bitch. So think of her as like a vanguard, a lazy vanguard, because she'll biotic charge around the map to try and get close to you, and if she grabs you, it's a one-hit kill, there's nothing you can do. And if she grabs your teammates, you cannot go up to them and revive them, you have to use Medigel because they will be executed as well. And she has a barrier and armor, and out of all the tough enemies on this game, she is the worst by far, because she just eats damage. I mean, look at her. She just takes it. She takes more than the Atlases, she takes more than the Brutes. She's a bitch, and I hate her. And later on they're going to think that difficulty is dictated by throwing a bunch of them at you, and it's not. It just means it's a bullshit fight. So I would like to say that there's a sneaky trick to beating them, but you just want to get whatever abilities you can use that bring barriers down quickly, and whatever abilities you've got that bring down armor fast. And the biotic explosions will definitely help if you've got somebody warping and somebody throwing or something like that. That will definitely damage her. Incinerate will help against the armor. Incendiary rounds will as well. It's just, this is insanity, and her life is high. It's just what it is. But we're also going to be moving through this area towards a kind of a boss fight, although it's not what I would call a boss fight because you can't win. And it's against Kim Chi, or Kai Leng as he's called, the assassin that I always get the fucking name muddled up, so I call him Kim Chi. And it's a little sucky because you've got to shoot him, and then he gets covered by an airship that will murder you if you go outside. Think of it as like hiding from air support on a Call of Duty multiplayer. There's just no point messing about with the air support, or they're just going to kill you. And aside from that and the Harvester battle that I mentioned, this is all pretty standard Mass Effect stuff. But on my most recent playthrough as well, I did find some weapons I'd not seen before. And I've got to say that for somebody that was thoroughly disappointed with Mass Effect 2 and the way that they handled weapons, I think Mass Effect 3 is a massive improvement over that. Because a little, history lesson for people that haven't played them all and might be interested. On the first Mass Effect, you found hundreds of guns. The only problem with them is they were kind of just colour palette swaps. They were nothing more than, different coloured versions of each one that you picked up. And there was maybe 5 or 6 presets, but they all had slightly different statistics, they all had slightly different camouflage on them, so they felt kind of different, even when they weren't. And it was a lazy way of giving you lots of stuff to play with. And I liked it, I did. It could have been better, don't get me wrong, but it was fine for what it was. In Mass Effect 2, they decided to streamline out a lot of the RPG elements. There's a lot of barriers to entry for new people if they're not interested in RPGs. And Bethesda suffers from this, BioWare suffers from this. I don't think you could say Square Enix does because they've dumbed down their RPGs so much I think my fucking dog could play it. But, when you start a game and it throws a power wheel at you, or it throws a bunch of clunky menus at you that are all, statistics, numbers, expressions you've never heard of, all jargon, it's intimidating. And unless you're the type of person who's like, what was that, an ability tree? Fuck yeah, let's do this! Or, somebody that looks at the sphere grid of Final Fantasy X and just thinks how economically they can make their character more efficient. If you're that type of person, you probably love this, and I don't even have to go into this conversation, but for some people, that is not what they want. They want to be able to start a game, they want to be able to get thrown into the action, thrown into the story. They don't want to be micromanaging a bunch of, passive statistics. That's not what they play games for. So, with this in mind, BioWare definitely got rid of a lot of those elements and those influences, but it kind of ruined it for a lot of us. So, look at that. Look at that for a mantle. Oh, you've got to let him off though, because after all, this is the first time he's discovered how to do it, so he's not a master yet. He soon will be. But, especially with all the fucking mantling in this game. But, the first game, a bunch of different armors, all of them, colour swaps once again, just like the weapons, lots of things, a couple of presets. Second game, hardly any. Literally, there must be 4 weapons on Mass Effect 2. It was such a departure, there is hardly any. And it's a big shame for somebody that like me. If I made a first-person shooter, there would be over 100 fucking guns in it. I would have every single gun ever, because I like gun porn. I am a firearms fan, be it space firearms, be it real firearms. It's the stuff that I look forward to most in the new Call of Duties is literally what guns is going to be in them, how cool they're going to look, how cool they're going to sound, and how fun they're going to be to use. That is what I look forward to most. I couldn't give a shit about anything else. It's the guns. It's the reason that I play them. And like Mass Effect 2, it had some good guns in it, don't get me wrong. There were some really good ones, and pretty much all of them have been moved over to this game. I just don't think there was enough. And then on this game, they've kind of brought it back so that there's quite a lot of guns. You can put mods on them to change them ever so slightly, and you can customize your armor a little. It's not too extensive, but I think they handled the weapons really well, anyhow. Especially finding newer ones, I found the Javelin sniper rifle, which is a bag of shit for my playstyle, but it was cool to find, and it looked kind of like a far sight. And there's a couple of assault rifles and pistols that I've not touched yet, and some of them are N7 Collector's Edition weapons, which is fucking gay. I don't like that at all, but some of them are actually findable in the game, so I'm looking forward to picking them up in the multiplayer. because oh, by the way, if you're wondering why I keep coming out of my scope every time I fire this gun, it's because I've spent the last 10 hours with the Mantis, and if you don't make that piece of shit reload, it doesn't reload. So I've got into this habit of scoping in and scoping out after every shot. So yeah, I do apologise about that. But I've been thinking about doing some fun runs on the game. Maybe even recording them, I don't know. Like, if I could stream, it'd make shit like this so much easier to do. But, like, a Vanguard Insanity playthrough, like a no firearm Vanguard run or something stupid, just to use the biotic charge if I could. And see if it's even possible to, you know, do the biotic charge Nova combo throughout the game. Because it does replenish your barrier, but your life gets stripped so quickly on Insanity, and you're so close to the enemies, it's probably going to be, you know, like a split second and you've died, if you've not responded, you know, accordingly. So that could be really strange. But keep shooting dudes, keep peppering dudes, all that fun stuff. I'm going to be doing a lot of multiplayer content for this game, but I need to finish getting Syndicate and a bunch of other guides up first, before you're going to see, you know, too much of that. And I've been playing quite a lot of the multiplayer on my own, because I don't get that much lag when I'm uploading and when I'm downloading things, so it enables me to do the stuff that I usually do throughout the day and play games at the same time, which is really cool. But I've noticed a lot of things, and I'm going to talk about them in length on one of the later videos, so thanks for watching, and you take care now.